feels like just yesterday, Super Bowl commercials were one of the most exciting things to look forward to during the Super Bowl. I mean, I never really cared too much about football, so like a lot of others, I was just excited for the commercials and the halftime show. We had commercials like Puppy Monkey Baby,
Puppy Monkey Baby, Puppy Monkey Baby,
or the one where they killed Mr. Peanut.
No! Maybe he'll be all right.
And Doritos would, and I suppose they still do, host contests for people to make their ad, which always ended up pretty entertaining. And I'm sure you guys had your favorites as well. The point is that this used to be a fun time and something everyone seemed to enjoy collectively, which is kind of ironic because they're just advertisements at the end of the day meant to sell us something. However, the 2026 Super Bowl commercials were not only some of the worst we have seen, but they demonstrated how far our society has fallen from just like a decade ago. While everyone was busy fighting over the halftime show, major companies shoved gambling and weight loss pills down our throats. They used AI to generate entire ads and basically rubbed in our faces that we live in a surveillance state now and there's nothing we can do about it. And I know that I'm not the only person that's thinking this.
America hasn't began its descent into late-stage capitalism. It's already happened, and if you need further proof of that, let's just break down the Super Bowl ads from last night together. Not only was it one of the worst Super Bowls of all time, it was the worst commercial performance of all time. I don't know if I was just a kid back then, but like back in 4th and 5th grade, the Super Bowl ads were kind of something people looked forward to. These creative teams had complete freedom, and they tried to make it entertaining. They tried to be creative, and you could tell there was a soul behind the ads, even if it was, well, an ad. Fast forward to last night, and all we see is GLP-1 ads, AI, crypto, and oh yeah, don't forget the surveillance state.
The ads were more than just bad. I think that they were emblematic of the state of our economy and our society in the year of 2026, with the worst of all being the Ring ad. Also super quick, I don't know if I kept this thumbnail or not, but I hope my JJK fans like this. I thought it was a cool idea, but with that being said, let's continue. Ring is an Amazon-owned company that makes the doorbells with the cameras, microphones, and all that, and they have always advertised themselves as a company for security and convenience. They've been the front runner for home security doorbells, cameras, and things along those lines. So because of that, they are super popular and a lot of people have them at their front door, which is why when their Super Bowl ad aired, people were very concerned. The ad starts with a girl getting a dog. It's all cute. Oh yeah, you got a new dog. But then boom, her dog Milo goes missing, along with tons of other dogs, allegedly 10 million a year, a statistic that I'm not sure I believe.
Every year, 10 million go missing, and the way we look for them hasn't changed in years.
Then they introduce a feature called Search Party where you can post your dog's picture, name, and description. Then the cameras throughout the nearby area, every single one on every person's house, will start to search for the dog using AI to help identify and locate it. So yes, without your permission, if you're a Ring doorbell user, your camera will just start scanning for things. The feature was then automatically enabled for millions of users, which means you have to opt out if you don't want to use it. Although opting out, I'm guessing, doesn't really mean that they can't just do it at any time they want to. According to the Telegraph, 1 in 5 homes in the UK has a smart device of some kind, and the implications of what this can be used for is pretty dark, because if they can use it to look for dogs, they can definitely use it to look for you or anyone else. The ad received comments like, "This is like the commercial they show at the beginning of a dystopian sci-fi film to quickly show people how bad things have gotten." Are we really supposed to believe that the main intent for this is lost pets? I don't think there is a better possible ad to get rid of your Ring camera. This comes just weeks after Ring had been accused of giving data to ICE to help them find illegal immigrants. But Ring denied this, saying, like all companies, Ring may receive legally valid and binding demands for information from law enforcement, such as warrants, subpoenas, or court orders. We do not disclose customer information unless required to do so by law or in rare emergency situations when there is imminent danger of death or serious physical injury. Outside of that legal process, customers control which videos are shared with law enforcement. Ring has recently partnered with a company called Flock Safety, which, according to Wikipedia, is an automated license plate recognition, video surveillance, and gunfire locator systems company. Ring says this partnership allows customers to voluntarily share footage to law enforcement, but many are skeptical of this. In an article titled "The Private Companies Quietly Building a Police State," which describes companies like Palantir and Clearview and how they track us, they also mention Flock and how it is used in various ways, one of which was how a sheriff's office in Texas used Flock's automated license plate reader to access 83,000 cameras to track a lady down who had an abortion. Flock then claimed that this was false and that the search wasn't because of an abortion, it was because of a wellness check that her family had asked for. And regardless of the abortion part, the fact that they still searched was not denied. And the fact that that search is possible and that there's 83,000 cameras they accessed across multiple states is the scary part, which to me is just crazy to think about. I read on Reddit that Flock has a contract with the evil company Palantir, and I don't know if that's true. I couldn't find anything on it. However, I have seen that Palantir's CEO Peter Thiel, Mr. Evil himself, is invested in Flock, which is now working with Ring.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
What remotely normal person hesitates on that question? Beats me. And you know, growing up, one of the things you hear about China is how terrible it is that they have cameras everywhere, and it's a good thing that we have freedom and stuff like that, but clearly that's quickly being stripped away by companies like these. Ring has partnered with Flock, a company akin to Palantir and Clearview, all of which are stripping away our privacy and our rights, all under the guise of protecting us. Flock advertises themselves as people who can help catch criminals using license plate readers, and Ring is advertising this new feature as, oh, we can help you find your lost dog, but in reality we're trading our convenience for our privacy and our security. It all kind of reminds me of that Captain America movie where S.H.I.E.L.D. was saying they were trying to protect everyone by surveilling them super heavy, and then it just ended up being Hydra and it was all a super evil plot. And not only has Ring proudly announced that they are spying on us and tracking us, but the AI takeover was further established during the Super Bowl commercials. There were two main types of AI ads during the Super Bowl. First was the ads that used AI generation, and second were the ones that were promoting AI.
But we all know that football is really the sideshow to the Super Bowl. What we're really all here for is capitalism. Usually I enjoy watching the Super Bowl, but I have to say that last night's felt very dystopian. And it's largely because so many of the ads featured companies that were basically begging us to turn over every element of our lives to artificial intelligence.
The most egregious of the former was Svedka's almost entirely AI-generated ad. Svedka is a vodka brand that apparently spent 4 months training the AI to create this ad and said certain aspects were still handled by humans, like developing the storyline, which the storyline wasn't all that impressive. They partnered with an AI company to make the ad, which was the same company that was actually responsible for Coca-Cola's very controversial AI ads that they aired recently. According to TechCrunch, it's a bold move to debut AI-generated content during the Super Bowl, an event known for star-studded high-production ads. It's also just super lazy and embarrassing when you're competing with companies that are actually trying to make something somewhat entertaining for fans at home. Like, even this one AI company called Anthropic was at least somewhat entertaining because they dissed ChatGPT and basically said their model was better. And I saw a Reddit post from someone during the Super Bowl who said, "Am I going nuts? It feels like several ad breaks so far have contained at least some form of image generation instead of traditional CGI. Even that Dunkin' Donuts ad, do the agencies not care?" And no, obviously they don't. There were also a bunch of other AI companies that were advertising their products during the Super Bowl, with some being more controversial than others. OpenAI was advertising their products, and honestly this one wasn't all that bad. Google Gemini was showing off that they can generate cool pictures of a kid's new room with his mom. Oh, it's so adorable. But then there was also some rough ones. One in particular that I hated was the Alexa Plus ad. Basically the whole ad, Chris Hemsworth is scared of Alexa in his house because she's full-on AI, and then throughout the ad the Alexa Plus keeps trying to kill him in different ways by controlling the smart home's devices like the blinds or the fire, which is very ironic and got comments like, so they unironically made an ad about all the ways that a product could go wrong and lead to harm or even death, even portraying it as actively malicious, and then we're just like, LOL, so buy it? Someone else said, did they just put out an ad not to buy AI powered assistants? And I personally have an issue with this because I've always enjoyed using Alexa for the smart home stuff, mostly for my lights, and now she's constantly begging me to upgrade her to Alexa Plus and do all the AI stuff, and it is so frustrating that I'm being advertised to in my own home. I might just have to throw it out. Then there was also this GenSpark AI ad that I think I'll just let speak for itself.
GenSpark, give me the day off. I'm skipping work today. You should too, Stu. GenSpark, finish this slide deck. Now you're not working from home. GenSpark, dial in this spreadsheet.
Done?
Circle back on out of here. Let GenSpark automate your work and take a day off.
To me, this reads more as AI can just replace your job is worthless, etc. Like, one of the main fears of AI is that it's going to replace everyone's jobs, and this just proved that it can and probably will. Also, even if there wasn't fear of AI taking your jobs, I think it's just kind of stupid to promote people to use AI and not work anymore. I don't know, I feel like it's just weird. I feel like a lot of employers probably aren't happy about that ad, and it just kind of makes people dumber when you have to rely on AI for every single thing in your life. There's also this one weird ad for AI.com, but that was whatever. Regardless, the normalization of both AI generated visuals and AI products in general is getting to a point where it's very frustrating. Pepsi ironically played on this by using the Coke polar bear in their ad, with commenters saying things like, "Pepsi, you're a real one for hiring the Coca-Cola polar bear," after the Coca-Cola company laid him off in favor of AI. It's being forced down our throats everywhere we go. Like, no Snapchat, I don't want an AI best friend. No Gmail, I don't need you to summarize all of my emails for me. I'm normal, I can read myself. And no Instagram, I don't want to talk to AI King Von. These things are super obnoxious, and now there's just no way to avoid them. I even have one in my bedroom now asking me to upgrade to Alexa Plus. But if surveillance everywhere and AI everywhere wasn't enough, and you've felt like lately the poor economy has been rough on you, don't worry, because you can just gamble now and win big. Nowadays, it feels like prediction markets like Kalshi and Polymarket are the next big thing, and they were active during the Super Bowl. During the Super Bowl, Kalshi alone processed $871 million in trades, most of which was related to the game. Sports betting and prediction markets are everywhere, sponsoring and funding every major event. Sports in particular have obviously seen the most from this. And according to Fortune, even the sports leagues now are privately admitting that sports gambling is the work of the devil. Noting all the sponsorships that are funding sports broadcasting and leagues, Lewis said there's a major problem with the business model. It's now the chief engine of growth. It's corrupting sports. It is creating horrible incentives. Sports gambling is one thing, but the prediction markets take it to a whole nother level. If you're unaware, prediction markets are basically predicting whether or not something is going to happen and then betting on it. For example, one of the bets was, will someone streak at the Super Bowl? And guess what happened? Someone did.
What are the chances that there's some dude out there who took his life savings and emptied his bank account, bought a ticket to sit 50-yard line at the Super Bowl right there on the field? And then what are the chances that that dude pops the top off and streaks out right onto the 50-yard line? And what are the chances that that same dude was smart enough to go on Polymarket or one of these prediction markets and create a bet for himself and bet the rent that someone's going to run on the field at Super Bowl 60? Place a bet that some ridiculous 1 in a trillion thing is going to happen, and then do whatever it takes to make that happen. You know, this guy spends like $50,000 to get tickets to the Super Bowl, and then he pays for airfare, and then he's got to bail himself out, pay all of his legal fees. But guess what? He made $500,000 on Polymarket because he placed a bet that some stupid dickhead would go streaking at the Super Bowl, and then he just was the stupid dickhead streaking on the field.
Prediction markets are proven to have had market manipulation issues where people will bet on things and then make them happen themselves, as we saw with the WNBA and people throwing dildos during games, all thanks to prediction markets. There was also a big bet as to whether or not Cardi B would be performing at the halftime show, and when she briefly appeared on stage, while not actively performing, it caused a lot of controversy because Kalshi didn't count this as a performance. But what do all of these gambling, sports betting, and crypto-based prediction markets have to do with Super Bowl ads? Well, there were a bunch of advertisements from companies like these, like DraftKings, for example.
So DraftKings trusted us to do this ad
live from the Super Bowl in Santa Clara.
Tonight, live bet the game on DraftKings to score your share of $5 million in prizes. There's so many live options to bet on, like
Seattle or New England, next TD.
So bet on all the twists and turns, because when you're live, anything can happen.
There were other ads too, like this one from Fanatic Sportsbook, or this super weak ad from Coinbase that just seemed like a waste of money. As I briefly mentioned, when it comes to sports betting and prediction markets, there can be a lot of problems. So their prominence in both the ads and just overall around the Super Bowl is definitely a little disheartening, especially with how big insider trading can be with their prediction markets, or people trying to actually control the outcome. Like, you could bet on someone famous dying in 2026 and then just kill them yourselves, you know, so that the bet actually goes through. Obviously, they don't let you bet on whether or not people are going to be assassinated, and it's not quite that simple, but this is actually a real thing, and I recommend this video from Ordinary Things that dives deeper into it. I could make an entire video on every single subject in this video, so the fact that they all culminated and were so prominent at the Super Bowl during the commercials so boldly and blatantly is definitely not a good sign. Even though AI is making you dumber, gambling is making you poorer, and you are constantly being watched by Big Brother, at least you don't have to be fat anymore. Rather than working to achieve the looks you want, the new craze ways is to take a pill that will magically make you look and feel better. Never mind the long list of side effects. There were multiple ads promoting weight loss pills this year from companies like Wegovy and Ro and Hims and others. Serena Williams was in one of them, claiming that it helped her lose like 30 pounds and that it helped her with health issues with like blood sugar, blood pressure, and high cholesterol.
I'm on Ro, 34 pounds down on GLP-1s. Healthier on Ro. Supported on Ro.
Because of this, as she understandably so got a good bit of backlash. People were saying things like, disgusting that she's trying to push weight loss drugs. If the greatest tennis player of all time is using Ozempic, we're done for. Famous athlete Serena Williams trying to sell weight loss drugs. That was not on my Super Bowl bingo card. There was also that company Wegovy that had a bunch of celebrities, including DJ Khaled of all people. It's like, I don't think he's the best person to have in a weight loss ad. But yeah, there was basically just a ton of GLP-1 weight loss advertisements. Pharmaceutical ads are historically misleading. It doesn't take a genius to realize that, and not too long ago the FDA said they are going to start cracking down on this more, with the FDA actually directly calling out Wegovy for being one of these companies with misleading advertisements. Also, I wasn't quite sure where to put this, but the Ritz commercial being about a party on an island was a bit poorly timed. Overall, these ads just felt, and I hate to say this word, I think it's overused and misused all the time, but the advertisements at the Super Bowl just felt very dystopian. And I think the YouTuber Emergency put it well when he said,
because it feels like when you zoom out and look at all the things that they're trying to sell us, that we are closer and closer to the Wall-E timeline than ever before. Because think about it, the messaging for most of these ads are essentially just selling you drugs to get skinny, getting you on apps and websites to gamble and spend your money, and to normalize AI and other LLMs to essentially do your work for you. Oh, and don't forget about the cutesy reminders that we actively live in a surveillance state, but like package it up really cute with like a story around a lost dog. Right. I'm looking at you, Ring.
On top of all of this, I think the general trend we saw is that a lot of these ads weren't as entertaining and lacked the soul they once had. Even if it wasn't an AI, gambling, fat loss, or surveillance ad, they just didn't hit the same. I read an article that said most of the ads that weren't unsettling in some ways were simply boring or relied on a celebrity appearance to seem interesting. In common, those ads had no real entertaining plot the way they used to. And I agree, it feels like a lot of these ads were just lame concepts that were intended to be carried by the celebrity appearances.
What is this? I think it's just a vibes thing. Vibes.
Ooh, what's that? First beer of the wedding.
Is there enough for everyone?
Oh, right there. I got this.
Also, I'm not going to include the Levi's ad in this video because that commercial went crazy. And I've seen people commenting on this saying things like, all these ads sound like they were generated by ChatGPT. The Matrix is eating itself. I'm feeling celebrity fatigue. These ads were like 30% random celebrity cameo slop and 70% absolute brazen AI brainwash. Truly horrific times we live in. Everything looks AI. Even the actual celebrities. I hate the present. Honestly, the Alexa ad, as much as I hated it, was probably one of the more entertaining ones I saw. Regardless, the ads this year were terrible and a lot of them represented the sad state that our society is in. So hopefully, next year, at the very least, if society doesn't get better, the ads will. And most people weren't talking about the advertisements because they were so hung up on the Bad Bunny halftime show. And if you want to learn more about the controversy behind Bad Bunny's halftime show and the hidden messages he included, make sure to click the video that's on screen right now.